Hey everyone, blessings and welcome. In this video, I will be discussing how to deal with jealous family members. But before we get into our topic of discussion, subscribe to this channel. Also, hit that like button because it helps with the algorithm. And share this video if you enjoy my content. Feel free to drop a comment. I do read them. And as usual, I do appreciate your support of this channel. I have decided to cover this topic once again because of your comments on my previous video on jealousy, and many of you had the question to how to deal with jealous family members specifically. So I'm going to address that in this video. So I'm going to basically get into some tips and some strategies if you happen to find yourself unfortunately in this situation, and hopefully what I share will be a blessing to you as you go through this difficult family situation, right? This is never easy, right? You know, family is supposed to love you and have your back and support you and be there for you. You're supposed to be able to depend on your family, right? And trust them, trust what they do, trust what they say. But unfortunately, there are those of us out there who have jealous family members, and that can be a big problem, right? So if you find yourself in a situation, there's 6 things that I want you to remember and to think about. And the first thing is, if you happen to be dealing with a jealous family member or jealous family members, right? You know, this is the first thing I want you to understand. Understand the level of jealousy that you're dealing with, right? So whether this is a jealous mother, jealous father, sister, brother, uncle, aunt, grandparents, cousins, even a jealous spouse, even jealous children, right? That happens too. I want you to understand the level of jealousy that you're dealing with. You know, this is a very delicate topic when it comes to the you know, family and what have you, you know, and we get a lot of examples of this in actually throughout the Bible, right? So if we look at the first family in the Bible, in the book of Genesis, Adam and Eve and their children, Cain and Abel. Cain, these were brothers. Cain actually killed his brother due to his jealousy and hatred and disdain for him, right? Which is the worst thing you can possibly do to someone, right? And this was his own brother. So that level of jealousy can really escalate, and I would call that high level jealousy. But it's important for us to understand the level of jealousy that we're dealing with. That way, that will determine how we engage and deal with that particular family member, right? So a low level of jealousy, low level jealousy with a jealous family member. This is an example of this. This is the person who is jealous. They may have a very jealous nature, but they pretty much are able to contain it and they have it under control. So this person is very conscious of their jealousy. They're conscious of themselves. They don't want to look bad, and they don't want to be that person, you know, that jealous person. And they don't like when it comes out. So maybe this person they know they can be jealous and they have a jealous nature, and they're trying to control it. They don't want it to come out, or they don't want to look bad themselves, right? So the low level jealous person, you can deal with them probably at arm's length and have them around and deal with them, and, you know, with boundaries, right? But, you know that although they may try to hide it and conceal it, if you're around this person, if you live with this person, you can feel it, right? You can feel that energy. So, this is a person that you can probably deal with that, you know, family gatherings, family reunions, so on and so forth, you know, limited engagements, you know. So, but you don't want to deal with them all the time, because you don't want that low vibrational and that energy around you all the time, because it's just not healthy, right? It's toxic, right? So even though they may try to contain it, it's there, but, you know, it's probably safer to, you know, deal with them at arm's length. And you can deal with them if you have to. And usually with family, you know, there's certain situations where we have to deal with them, right? And I'm not speaking to those of you out there who you're estranged from your family, you don't deal with them at all. But for those of us who have to deal with certain family members, and, you know, because we have to, that's the case. So the low level people we can deal with, but those high level people, you know, the Cain people, you cannot deal with the Cain people, because that is, you know, what you have to understand with the spirit of jealousy, and it is a spirit. It's a spirit and an energy. It escalates. If it's not contained and controlled, it escalates, and it can get out of control, and it can escalate even up into the point of murder, right? And that's the very extreme end of it, right? So yeah, this is the type of family member that you cannot deal with at all. So you should try to draw a strong boundary, avoid them as much as possible, limit if you have to deal with them, limit your engagement with them to as much as you can. But if you can avoid them, because these are the people who are actively in the family, actively trying to start trouble, actively trying to harm you and other family members, and they're not healthy, they're not safe, they're toxic. These are Cain level people. Leave them alone, because like I stated before, jealousy is a murderous spirit. So yeah, understand the level of jealousy that you're dealing with this family member, and act accordingly. Number two is don't stir the pot. Do not flaunt and do not brag around these people. And I will draw another example from the Bible, and that's the story of Joseph. And it's a great story. And just in case you want to read it, Book of Genesis, chapters 37 through 50. Wonderful story if you want to, learn more about Joseph and his brothers. But yeah, Joseph was a favorite in the family, and his father Jacob didn't hide the fact that he favored his son Joseph, and his brothers, it was 12 of them. His brothers, they were not happy about that, favoritism, and they hated Joseph. And, they hated him to the point where they actually wanted to take his life, right? But eventually they decided against it, thank God, because Joseph was the one who actually saved his family and saved all of Egypt, right? So God used Joseph tremendously, and, and God was actively working to preserve his life in spite of his brothers, but they wanted to kill him, and eventually they did sell him into slavery, which is awful as well. But unfortunately, Joseph, when he was young, he was a young kid, he was the favorite, and he had all of these dreams, and he was flaunting, and bragging a little bit, and telling, he told his family about these dreams of him, being in prominence, and sitting high, and the dreams, they were prophetic, and they were actually true. But, sometimes that's a lesson to us. Sometimes we can't share our dreams with our family, right? You share your dreams with certain family members, is going to stir the pot, and you're going to make them angry, and you're going to make them jealous. So that's something you don't want to do. And Joseph, he violated that, that thing that you shouldn't do, and he paid the price, and he almost paid the price with his life, right? So going back to the level of jealousy that you're dealing with, Joseph did not know the level of jealousy and the level of hatred that his brothers had for him. And I think if he known, he would have been more cautious to what he shared with them, right? So this is a lesson to us when we're dealing with jealous family members. Don't stir that pot. Don't flaunt, your achievements and, what you're doing, and, what's happening with you. Don't brag about, the good things that are going on. Don't go on about it with them, because you're going to stir up that jealousy. And if that person has a jealous nature, and they may be low level, but if you keep stirring that pot, you can stir it to the point where they could, maybe go to a high level jealousy, and they may not be able to contain it anymore. So if you're dealing with a jealous family member, do not stir the pot. If something great happens in your life, don't share it with them, because they're not going to receive it well. And, you may, have to deal with them attacking you in some way because of it. So, definitely be careful, and just know that, jealous family members, they're not going to be happy for you when good things happen for you. So definitely don't stir that pot. Number 3, keep your distance, right? And this might be hard to do if you happen to be living with the jealous family member. My advice to you, if you happen to be in that situation, is to stay out of striking distance, right? Even if you live in a small home or a small apartment, and you don't, your living quarters is not that big, and you have to run into them all the time, or you may even have to share, a bedroom with them or what have you, right? But definitely keep your distance, and go back to the second point that I brought up. Don't stir the pot. don't share everything with them, but definitely keep your distance, because distance, and even if it can't be a physical distance, keep an emotional distance, draw a boundary, right? Don't tell them too much, because that will keep you safe from them, but if you are not living with this family member, and they live in a different town, or even a different country or a different state or what have you, keep your distance from them. At family functions, you say hello, be cordial, but you don't have to have a long drawn out conversation with them. You smile and keep it moving, but definitely keep your distance, because distance will keep you safe. So that's the third thing that you should practice. And number 4, don't give the jealous family member any ammunition, right? So ammunition for the jealous family member is your information, right? Keep your business to yourself, right? Because the jealous family member, they will use your information as a weapon, right? As a weapon to start trouble and dissension in the family, as a weapon to harm you in some way, right? So definitely don't let the jealous family member know what's going on in your life, right? Because that's going to basically help you out in the long run, right? And also, so that's one, some ammunition that you give them would be your information. So definitely you want to unarm them, right? And definitely don't. Here's another weapon. Don't entrust them with anything. Don't trust them with any valuables, right? Any physical valuables that you may have, right? Money, or anything that might be sentimental to you, or anything that that may be some physical or material value to you. Don't entrust them with anything, right? And don't entrust them with your information, and don't entrust them with other things that might be important to you, because they may purposefully lose it, or break it, or do things, or steal it, or what have you, right? Because a jealous person, family member in particular, they want to bring you down. They want to dim your light. They want to make you look bad, and they want to hurt you, and they look for ways and openings where they could unleash some destruction in your life. So you want to protect yourself, and by not giving them any ammunition whatsoever. So basically keep your business to yourself. If it's not something that that's of importance, definitely keep it to yourself, because that will definitely protect them. And so don't give them any ammunition whatsoever. Keep as much away from them as possible, and that will basically minimize the damage. Number 5, this is important. Pray for these people. Pray for your jealous family members, right? Because prayer basically will protect you. Prayer will also protect them from doing things, harmful things to you and to other people, right? Also protect them from themselves, because jealousy is a very destructive spirit. Not only is the jealous person harming others, and even if the jealous person is not actively trying to do things or plot against people, it's an energy within a person. It's an emotion within a person that's toxic, and it's something that will definitely darken your soul if you basically allow it to fester within you, right? So that energy and that spirit is not only destructive to others, but it's destructive to the jealous person, right? It's not good for their souls. So it's important for us to definitely pray for them. Pray that that they get better. Pray that they are delivered. Pray that God protects you from them. But they definitely need your prayers. So and prayer works, and prayer is real. So definitely pray for your for your jealous family members, because they definitely need it, right? And you definitely want to invite God into the situation, because, God will protect you like he protected Joseph from his brothers, right? They had plotted, to basically take him out of here. And God said not so, because he had plans for the life of Joseph, just like he has plans for you, right? Because that jealous person will try to derail your life plans and do things. And, those closest to us can actually do the most damage, and those are the people that the devil likes to use the most, because within families, if he's able to use a jealous person or a person who has a lot of hate in them, he can divide and destroy a family. And you divide and you destroy families, you divide and you can destroy communities. And when you divide and destroy communities, you divide and destroy an entire nation. So it can escalate into that place too. So definitely pray for your jealous family members. And finally, forgive them, especially if it's a family member, a jealous family member who has done some serious damage to you, who has scarred you deeply, who has hurt you deeply. Definitely forgive them, because that's part of your healing, right? Don't hold on to that offense. And, when family hurt us, that is the worst type of hurt. And those of you out there who are watching this, and you're watching this for a reason, because maybe you're going through this right now. So you understand what I'm talking about. That's the worst type of hurt. And I've dealt with it myself. So, like I stated earlier, these are the people who are supposed to love you and watch out for you. And they're not supposed to be hurting you, but family members do hurt other family members. It's life. But it's important for us to forgive them, not for them, but for us, right? To liberate our own souls, right? Because we want God to forgive us, right? When we offend God, right? So when we forgive others, God will forgive us, right? So, and when we forgive us, we're actually set free and liberated from what they did to us, right? And that process of forgiveness, that's going to take some time. It doesn't happen overnight all the time, right? But also what I want you to keep in mind is that it's possible to forgive a person and leave them completely alone. So just because you forgive a family member, it does not mean that you have to deal with them in any capacity, right? Even though they're your family. And I know, unfortunately, when you're dealing with family, like as I stated before, it's a delicate thing. You may have other family members that might try to guilt you back into a relationship with that family member that severely harmed you. But, you have a right not to be in a relationship with a toxic family member, or a family member who hates you or who's jealous of you. You can forgive them, but they may continue to be, horrible people, or a toxic person, or jealous of you, right? But you could forgive them and move on with your life, right? But forgiveness doesn't necessarily always equate reconciliation, And I know for a lot of Christians in the Christian community, I don't know what this thing is, but it's kind of like taught to us that we have to forgive people, and be pushed back into this relation. It's implied that we're supposed to rejoin in a relationship with this person, but that's not always the case, because if that person is still jealous, still evil, still mean, still harmful, still toxic, that's a person that doesn't deserve us. That's a person who we should definitely not be in relationship with if we want to continue to be healthy and get better and recover from what we've been through, right? So we don't necessarily have to reconcile that relationship with that family member. We can just leave them alone, or not deal with them at all, or we can forgive them and move on with our lives. So just know that forgiveness doesn't equate reconciliation, right? And also we could take another example from Joseph, right? So Joseph, he ended up going in, his brothers sold him into slavery. He ended up in Egypt, and he was a slave for a long time. But God delivered him out of that situation. You read the story for yourself, and at the end of the day, Joseph rose to prominence, and he ended up being, second in command over all of Egypt, and he ended up saving Egypt and actually saving his family from a famine. So God used Joseph in a mighty way. But before Joseph invited his family back into his life, and this is what I don't hear a lot of. I've over the years heard many sermons on the story of Joseph, but many preachers never brought up or never dwelled on the fact that before Joseph invited his brothers back in, his family back in, he put them to a test. So if you have forgiven your family and you're looking for reconciliation, and that's a good sign. A sign that you've forgiven your family or forgiven the people who have hurt you is that you're open to reconciliation. It doesn't mean that it should happen, because if that person is not ready for it, they're not ready for it. But you know that in your heart that you have forgiven that person when you're open to reconcile with them, right? Which may or may not be good for you, right? But if it's good for you, and if you're open to it, I know Joseph, he forgave his brothers truly, but he still put them to a test, because Joseph needed to know that his brothers actually changed. Joseph needed to know that his brothers were actually sorry for what they did to him. He would not let them back in fully until he knew. So he put them to a test, and you can read about it, the test, in the book of Genesis, chapters 37 through 50, right? But he put his brothers to a test before he invited them back in to see if they were ready for a relationship. They were forgiven, but there would be no relationship until they passed the test. And gratefully, Joseph's brothers passed the test, right? And he was able to be back fully in relationship with them, right? So if you want to be back in relationship with the family members who have hurt you, who were jealous of you, who did things to you, you've got to test them out, and you've got to see if that family member has truly changed in the process of changing, and is open to change. Because if they're not, then they can't be in your life, because all they're going to do is hurt you over and over again, right? And you also got to see if that family member is sorry for what they did to you, sorry for what they put you through. If they happen to be truly sorry, if they happen to be changed as a person, or they're changing, then yeah, you can open yourself up to reconciliation. But if the change is not there, if they're not sorry for what they did, you shouldn't reconcile. And so that's it. Forgive them, but reconciliation may not always be on the table for that particular family relationship. And it could be your own parents, it could be your brother, it could be your sister, it could be even your spouse. And that's rough. It could be your children. But yeah, just know that those are the things that you should do for your family. Definitely put them to the test before you invite them back in. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share with you in this video. Number 1, understand the level of jealousy that you're dealing with. Number 2, don't stir the pot. Number 3, keep your distance. Number 4, don't give them ammunition. Number 5, pray for them. And number 6, forgive them. But just know that you don't necessarily have to reconcile. I really and truly hope that this video has been a blessing to you and been of some help. I'm sorry if you're going through this situation right now with family members, because that can be particularly very, very hurtful. And if you're in a situation where you're dealing with a very jealous family member, and you've had troubles with certain family members in your relationships with them, and you find yourself that you cannot deal with them at all, my advice to you is to just pray that God gives you the strength, and also just have a funeral. Have a funeral for that relationship, and put that relationship to rest, and you live in peace. Because there's certain relationships, although they're our family, there's certain family members that we can't have a relationship with due to their behavior and how they treat us. And we have to mourn. That's why I say have a funeral. We have to mourn the relationship that we didn't get with our mother. We have to mourn the relationship that we did not get with our father, that we did not get with our grandparents, that we did not get with our siblings. We have to mourn those relationships, the hopes and the dreams that we had, and the memories that we thought that we deserved to have. And we should have these good relationships and healthy relationships with our family, but sometimes we don't get them. And oftentimes it's not our fault. So we have to have a funeral for that relationship, and and be at rest with it, and live in peace, and and invite God in. And we have to ask God when we do pray about these situations, because there's going to be a void there, a void that family member and that relationship they should have filled that space within us, but we don't have that space there. So it's important for us to ask God to fill that void, that emotional void, that family tie, that family bond that should have been there, because you feel that especially when it's a really close family member, like a parent, something like that. God will come in and fill that space. You're going to still probably for the rest of your life in some capacity mourn that physical relationship and not having that person there, but it will sting a little less and it will definitely hurt a little less if you allow God to come in and fill that empty spot. And he will, if we ask him to do it. So I just want to encourage all of you to continue to grow in your relationship with God, because it definitely helps us out when we have to deal with situations like this, and continue to be blessed. Take care, and I will see you in the next video.